Welcome to Conversations Different, a podcast from the Santa Fe New Mexican about the interesting people, places, and issues of northern New Mexico. This is Inez Russell Gomez, and today we are talking to Jaime Herrell and Matthew Cannella from Santa Fe's beloved Contemporary Center for Contemporary Arts, or the CCA as everyone calls it. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Thanks.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
I thought we'd start by telling each of you, starting with Jaime, what your connection with the CCA is and what you do.
Thank you. So I'm Jaime Herrell. I currently serve as the board chair of CCA, which is such an honor. I joined the board right after I graduated from IAIA in May of 2024. And I don't know, I've been a lover of it since and see art, and now I'm immersed in it, and here we are. Yeah.
Nice. And Matthew, you're the director of something there, so tell me what about that is.
Yeah, Matthew Cannella. I'm the cinema director here at CCA. I oversee our programming and in the cinema and all things that happen with our box office staff. I've been with CCA since 2019. And most recently have entered into the position of cinema director after doing all of our tech here.
Nice. And that's an important role because you're trying to get movies that are kind of a little off the beaten track, but that also will bring people out to go see. And in Santa Fe, because there's so many, not tons of options, but the Violet Crown is showing, or I guess Sky Cinema now is showing some different things. You know, how do you keep your schedule varied?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what I would start with is we're Santa Fe's only nonprofit cinema. So because of that, we have different types of programming that we like to offer. Everything from, you'll see us play a lot of international, a lot of American independent films, and all the way right down to the local level with working with local filmmakers. Because we're a nonprofit, ticket sales is only part of the equation for us here, which gives us the ability to play things that normally wouldn't be seen or screened at some of the other big theaters in town.
Yeah, and Santa Fe likes going to the movies for sure. And Jaime, I remember at a point that CCA almost shut down because, it was going broke, and the town just said, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. It literally, I think, it's part of the iterations, the many iterations of CCA. And I will say that it truly takes a village for love and support of the arts. And what a beautiful thing prior to my time there of community stepping up to the plate and lifting CCA in the way that it deserves, in the way that it's served. It's not transactional, but it certainly we feel the reciprocated actions for sure.
Yeah. And Matthew, going back to the kinds of films that you bring in, it seems like there's such a sameness with big studio films or even, kind of the amplified movie of the week kinds of things that people are doing now. This gives everyone in Santa Fe, not just film lovers, but maybe young people and people who aren't exposed to the arts as much, a chance to see different worlds.
Absolutely. I love that. Having studied cinema my life, a curator of films, I truly believe that it allows us to time travel, both in space and time. So we're talking about being able to see stories from places that we've never been to, with people that we've never met, and helps us connect with the world at large. And of course, I think we always get a lot of people who say, I just want to be entertained when I go to the cinema. I think that's part of it. It's part of the reason why we like going to films, but we also can go to become educated, to learn about people whose walks of life that are quite different than our own and be challenged. And I feel that at CCA, a lot of our films can be a little bit more challenging than what we might think of as just pure entertainment. Of course, we want people to show up and get tickets too. But like I said, because we're a nonprofit, we have a little bit of a different goal in mind as to why we play the pictures we play.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I know that when you leave a movie and you say, I didn't know that, that's always a nice feeling, you know, and hopefully you're smiling or crying or whatever the filmmaker wanted you to feel, but you're also got a conversation started with your friends, you know, to go back and look at. Yeah. Jaime, you know, as an Indigenous person and graduate of IAI, a lot of times the stories of Native people are not out there in the wider world. And that's really changing right now. And I don't know if that's something you bring to the table or you've seen at CCA, and maybe talk about how there's like this renaissance in Native storytelling away from, you know, the tribes and the reservations.
Thank you for such a great question. I want to say that like it actually wasn't me bringing that into orbit. I mean, truly, the iteration in which Danielle Means was there was a beautiful start. She's now the director of MIAC, which is amazing. And then last year we had an amazing staff member that Matthew can attest to, Cole Forrest, who's an amazing young film person, now teaching at IAI and film, but has curated a full-blown Indigenous film programming throughout the year. And that's something that Matthew has so beautifully taken on as well. And beyond that, excitingly, Inez Waxman is hosting the MFA graduate exhibition for IAI this year.
Oh, nice.
At Inez Waxman, so pretty exciting.
That is. Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed in the past, 10 years or so, it's not just, with film, but it's just the whole storytelling, with people like Tommy Orange or Layli Long Soldier, all the different writers that have gone through the Institute of American Indian Arts, the graduate programs. There's just so many places to hear stories that we weren't exposed to before.
It's true.
Yeah.
What a gift, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's a great time to be alive. And then they had Res Dogs on TV, which is like probably my favorite comedy ever. That it was so good.
Yeah.
And then he ended it. And I was just like, why? You could keep going, but a lot of people don't know when to end things.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's right. So Matthew, what do you look for when you're choosing the right film for CCA?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think part of my job here is to curate the films that we have. And then a part of it has been, as Jaime was saying, to have guest curators, including Cole Forrest, who is curating an Indigenous series for us. On Polak is curating our Black cinema series. And we're working with the artists who have gallery shows to curate even one-offs there. So it's really been my privilege to be able to turn the screen over to community as much as possible. As for what films do I get to curate on a weekly basis, I've come to know over the past 5 years, sort of what the Santa Fe tastes are. Of course, I want to cater to our core demo who like seeing a lot of international stories and small American independence. One of our most successful series right now that's ongoing that I've curated is a Pedro Almodovar retrospective. We're smack in the middle of the first section of that. It's hitting on a lot of the things that we like. Color, he's a real filmmaker. Almost all of his films are in Spanish, so that hits with our Spanish audience in town. And so I like to have the right mix of both. I think he's a great example of what I think is playing well for this town. Colorful, international, and it's just a story that you won't be able to guess the end. And when I've seen so many pictures in my life, that's a little bit of all I really like, is not knowing where the picture is going to go.
Oh, that's nice. And on that note, we'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
renewable, doable. We're positive energy solar for a cleaner, brighter future for all. Positive energy's the right call. Feel good about your energy bill. Help save the planet too. Your trusted solar company, working hard for you. Generate positive energy. Positive energy solar.
We're back with Conversations Different, speaking to Jaime and to Matthew about what's happening at the CCA. And one of the things that we're getting ready for is a big fundraiser this summer. And Jaime, as a board person, why don't you talk about how you're going to raise money and how people can contribute?
Yeah. So firstly, this is on our website. So if you don't catch this right away, you can reference there and on our social media as well. Give us a call too, because this is open to everyone and we're so excited. So on June 14th, the Center for Contemporary Arts is hosting its first Fine Art Flea. So it's a one-day curated event of all different levels and different types of art and thematics of art from all different years. And these are donations, and donations are still open, and you can find those dates on the website. And these are all community donations for us to curate. And then we may be having a little sneak peek the night before, but the way in which we'll do it is through these donations, we're able to collect money to fundraise. And it's just going to be a really excellent time. You'll be surprised what people have brought and dropped off. I'm already pieces.
All right. So you already have stuff coming in.
Yeah. So the last 3 weekends we've been accepting donations through the weekend, and so again that's open to folks. I believe donations are from 3 to 5 p.m. But it's a direct way to support our community programming and upcoming community programming throughout the summer season.
Okay.
So.
And Matthew, I mean, one of the things that's nice about an event where people come together is that if you're sitting in the dark in the movies, you might not necessarily know the guy sitting next to you. But when you come out for something, you know you like this organization, you want to help it, and you might make a new friend as you gather.
Yeah, we've got our lobby space, which has beautiful art by Sean Tolbert right now on the walls. It's a great place to just hang out and decompress after some of our films. We have you can become a member at CCA as well, which really helps to connect to. We've got some special members only screenings, which is another way that people can come out and connect over those films and stay up to date with our newsletter, which is always, offering different things throughout the week. We try to play, we're playing almost 4 to 6 new pictures every week, which is great. So if it's not here in that week, just be sure to check back the next week and bring a friend. That way you can talk about it after you get out.
Yeah, that's half the fun is discussing it. And, and when you get really into films, you can talk about how the film shots were made and, the ideas behind costuming. There's just so many layers of a movie or a film. Yeah. Where did you study film, Matthew?
Yeah. My background in film is from the University of Southern California, where my degree is in cinema critical studies. So really the analysis of film and its effects on society. So I'm right in my wheelhouse here curating films. I'm completing my master's up at St. John's University in the Eastern Classics program, where they have a wonderful sort of film club where we run through classic films, masterpieces, and kind of dissect it from that Johnny angle that they have up there.
Right, and that increases your debating skills. You learn how to present a viewpoint.
I've learned how to talk about literature and film in a very different way. Yeah, it's a wonderful program they have up there.
So, Jaime, what did you study at IAI and what got you into being such a supporter of the CCA?
Sure. My degree is a BFA in museum studies. And so because of I was really immersed. Even prior, I was always an art student, studio art student in my 20s, and in a different lifetime. I'm also a musician, but beyond that, though, it's a lover of all things. And so through my museum studies degree, I was the first Native curatorial intern at Crystal Bridges, and I was at
Wow.
my final internship was the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian, and then right out in DC. And I was poached by Ballroom Marfa after that, and that's down there in Marfa, if you're familiar with that. And we also served as a music venue as well. So a lot of the programming was tied to performance or physical art performance or body movement or things like that. So it's always just been, and I was also a theater major during that studio arts time in my life, right? So all these different forms of programmatic work. I mean, of course, I would be attracted to something like the Center for Contemporary Arts. Like, here's a center that honors all of that. We've got chatter on Saturday mornings, and now we're doing lectures with Renaissance in the mornings inside of the theater, and maybe both campuses. And there's so much program going on, and we're adding more and more to make it more accessible and available to everyone.
Nice.
Something for everyone.
That's really lovely, especially in a world since after the pandemic, people are talking about how they're lonesome and how they don't get out enough. And this gives you a chance where you're not looking at a screen necessarily. You're talking and meeting. And then if you want to watch the film and look at the screen, that's good. But you really exchange ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also host creative mornings at our space too, at Minos Waxman. And so that's something that I believe is open to everyone to join, and a lot of opportunity to meet and make friends and spend time and be intentional and reflect. And it's such a good third space for all walks of life.
Yeah. I love that term, third space. What is
Great.
a creative morning?
Creative Mornings is a program, and Matthew may be able to talk toward this too, but Creative Mornings is a program for arts workers, gallery owners of all types, and they meet at like 7 in the morning, and there's coffee and people converse and meet, and it's sort of a meeting of the minds with different lectures in the morning. And so it's a really special place to make bridges and connect, and really legit.
Yeah. Matthew, amplify on that, please. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Jamie nailed it. When they rotate through different topics, different speakers. We had the mayor of Santa Fe here for Creative Mornings not long ago. And I like that it's early. It happens right in the morning, so you can start your day off with a little coffee, donuts, some education, some community. And then if you feel like hanging on, come over and see a picture at the Cinema House right next door.
Mm-hmm. It's also, I think, a way to introduce the CCA to people who, even though they might be in a creative space, don't necessarily know what's going on there. So it really kind of expands the possibilities for supporters and people just to go to the movies there.
Yeah, I think both Creative Mornings, Renaissance has been a great adult education and learning program for us. Those topics have ranged from art to politics to environmental issues. The list goes on. So we're just about to wrap up this season of Renaissance and take or semester and kind of take a little summer break, just like education does. And we'll come back in the fall with all new classes. Often they're just people from the community that are retired professors in this town. And maybe it's what they taught in school, or maybe it's the subject that they just really are passionate about. So those teachers offer some great adult education learning. And that's where I've seen a lot of just community building week after week of people just coming, getting the brain going early in the morning, and a way to meet other people who are like-minded and creative individuals.
Nice. When you have these programs, obviously there's, many layers of Santa Fe. There's people who are 18 generations. There's people who moved here last week. And sometimes there's a conflict in town because, supposed true locals aren't at different events. So Matthew, how do you get those people to your events as well?
Yeah, I think what happens with CCA is often we've been here for 40 years.
Nice.
People have come to this theater at one point in time whether that's the delivery driver who's dropping something off to me and says, oh, I remember this theater. I went there in my youth, which might have been 10, 20, 30, or even 40 years ago. So everyone in Santa Fe, I think, has come through the doors of Center for Contemporary Arts at some point. And what we want to do is just invite everyone back. If it's been a while, if you haven't seen a picture, come and check us out. We've had maybe some renovations since you've been here last. Maybe the screen looks a little bit different, but we want to make sure that this really is a community-driven space, both in how we program, who we program for, which means often having the theater be available to local filmmakers and a space to showcase their emerging films. We relish in that. So we're totally in the sense that we're not always beholden to ticket sales being the bottom line. We try to turn the theater over back to community as much as possible.
So it's a good space just to go. Let's say if your group might need a place to meet or have a lecture or something, you can approach you guys and say, hey, what about this? That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we're, on top of our programming, we're available to rent both,
Nice.
Our small studio space, the large cinema, and even some of our Munoz Waxman Gallery. And we would love to host your next event here.
Good, good. On that note, we'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
This is Patrick Dorsey, publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Looking to reach a wider audience and grow your business? For 175 years, the Santa Fe New Mexican has been the trusted voice of Santa Fe, with unmatched local reach in print and online. In addition to our long-standing, independent, family-owned newspaper, we have a full-fledged marketing team with the expertise to help you succeed in the 21st century. From traditional print to precision-targeted digital advertising, we have the tools to connect you with your ideal customers. Partner with us and see the results for yourself. Advertise with the Santa Fe New Mexican and unlock your business's full potential. Visit us at santaFeNewMexican.com/advertising or call us at 505-995-3852. Thank you.
We are back with Conversations Different, talking to Jaime and Matthew about the CCA in Santa Fe, which has always been known as a great place to catch a film and really kind of have your intellect challenged a little bit. And there was that point at which the town refused to let it go under. Now it's, expanding in terms of its offerings. And I want to talk to you, Matthew, about what's next in the few months. What can people expect this summer and in the fall?
Yeah, we can expect a couple of our flagship series. We have a series called Closer Looks. That's been one of our longest standing series, happening this week, tomorrow actually, on a classic film, Wings of Desire. It's being presented by our Chuck Rosenthal, our gallery manager here. And then some of those series you might be able to gravitate to. We're starting our Black Cinema series curated by Ann Polak. That's going to be starting on May 1st with a film called Passing and a short film, Illusions. Really excited for that. And then we're going to be continuing a couple of our other flagship series. Amplified is going to be our music on film series. We'll be having an event on the 22nd, which is going to be a little bit of a concert tied with the film. We also have our cult series where we play, a little bit of, wild things that are off the wall. So hopefully one of those long-standing series are the things that we, are pillars of our programming here on top of our week-to-week programming.
Okay. Now, this might air after some of these things have been announced, but just because you missed that particular offering doesn't mean that the series isn't continuing. So where do people, Jaime, where do you go? What's the website so we can go look at the schedule, maybe sign up for the newsletter? How do people do that?
Sure. So our website is ccasantafe.org. And you can join by joining the newsletter. You can join becoming a member. You'll have access to private screenings and Renaissance, and a membership is only $75 for the whole year. And a dual membership, you and a friend, is $125.
Nice.
But yeah, all of the information's on the website. We're working toward a calendar that people can reference a little further in the future. But what I can share here too is the Institute of American Indian Arts show that will open, I believe, May 16th or 17th, maybe right after that, maybe right before that, forgive me, on the website. And then the Fine Art Flea is June 14th at the Munoz Waxman Gallery. Entry, if you buy tickets ahead of time, is $20 and then $25 at the door. And that's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. that day. And beyond that, look for programming and partnerships. Of course, in our cinema gallery, our next artist is Edie Song. If anyone...
Oh, yeah. She was one of my son's teachers at the School for the Arts, and her poetry stuff is so cool, and just everything. She's a nice, great lady. Yeah.
Really special. Yeah. Otherworldly, salt of the earth.
Yep. And an incredible yoga teacher as well. It's amazing to me how well-talented, many talents people have in this world. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matthew, I was just thinking how lucky we are in Santa Fe, because we can go to the Jean Cocteau and see weird classic films that they want us to watch. We have the CCA. Now there's Sky Cinema Midtown with its coffee shop and I guess brewery to come, or I guess they have beer already. So it's like we have a lot of choices. And now we even have an IMAX theater. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah. I would rather always see more film than less film, to be honest. So I don't really see the other cinema techs as competitors so much as what are their offerings and how does CCA define its own programming. Right. I think that we really work hard to curate programs for our audience. Those are chosen with care and with choice, and with the intention that we truly believe not only will they be entertaining, but that our audience will grow from them. Right. So what I would say is, if you see a picture that's up on the website and you haven't heard of it, take a chance. We're hoping that you take a chance on some of those films, because we're programming them with the intention for growth, for the world, which could use a little bit of help right now. I think that sometimes, people do want to check out and go somewhere else and just be entertained when they go to the pictures. We want you to really check in here and get in tune with what's happening in the world around us. Not spending your time, maybe turning a blind eye to some of these really heavy issues that are plaguing our world right now. It's going to take everyone together to come together on so many issues, right? We're playing things that are on indigenous issues, environmental issues, global warming, right? And politics. All of these things are not easy to talk about. They're not going to be solved in one night, but we're doing what we can to play pictures that highlight that these issues not only exist locally, but globally. And hopefully, by talking about them, we can build a better future at our local level and our global level, and everyone can enter where they are able to do their work the best.
Yeah. I think that's so important. And it, if something makes you a little uncomfortable, that's probably all the more reason that you need to go watch it or hear about it. Yeah. So Jaime, do you have a favorite film that you want to tell people about? I'm going to get your recommendations before we go.
That's upcoming.
Or just in general, if I'm a kid listening to this, because their mother has it on in the car, what would you tell them to go watch to maybe influence their life or change their lives in some way?
Oh gosh, to change their life. Oh man, probably the Royal Tenenbaums. I watched it for the first time when I was 10. Oh. Which is probably not appropriate, but I learned so much. Yes. And I also find that life-changing. Sue me. Yeah,
that's right. It was. It's an awesome one.
Personal favorite, but the programming, I mean, anything that you can walk in and see at CCA, truly that Matthew has programmed, you may come out crying, you may come out reflecting, but anyway, it's going to be movement in your being, which I think that we're all, to everyone's point in this conversation too, is that we're desperate for that as humans, and when you come to CCA, you're going to experience a mix of of really intentional programming, along with masterfully chosen films and beautiful exhibition space by folks from the region, which is awesome.
That is huge. And I've heard that they have really good popcorn too. So that's also important, you know.
Town.
Yeah.
I'll die on that hill.
All right, because that's a big one. I mean, Martin bought the Jean Cocteau because he wanted good popcorn, is what I read somewhere. And I'm like, that's when you have lots of money and use it for the best possible way, you know?
We can have a popcorn off.
That would be fun. And Matthew, same thing with you, especially if you grow up in a world where, you know, blockbusters are at the movies. How do you take a different path and maybe educate yourself and see films that are really life-changing?
Yeah, I think it's a skill that's sort of built. I love working with movies because it's always easy to ask anyone from any walk of life, what's your favorite movie? And we start a conversation from there. It's a little bit harder when I ask that same question about a painting or a sculpture, right? Yeah. But everyone's got a favorite movie, and you're able to open up the art conversation from there. And I would say just maybe and because of that, because we all grew up with films, we have a little bit of a preconception about what a film should be and how it should deliver certain types of emotional responses within me. And when those are often subverted, we might feel a little bit cheated, or, you know, we just don't know what to make of it because we're taught that film is only one thing, entertainment, and what is the kind of entertainment that we like, horror, action, romance. They all seem to follow a little bit of, you know, the same formula, which is great. And I like the ones that can go on that skeleton structure and then maybe go into dream or conceptual things and have a little bit room for me as the viewer. I'm not really being told how I should feel, but there's more room for me to receive the film. And often people think, I don't know what happened, and that's a bad thing. But right. I think that's a good thing, that you can go home and you can think about, and you can ask your friend, what do you think happened? And now we're talking. And now there's a little bit of a conversation, and we get to learn about each other.
Yeah. That's an important point, because you think of it, you're in the moment watching the film, and then it stays with you and it leads you to other paths and other conversations that you might otherwise not have had. It's a gift.
What's your favorite movie?
I'm so lame. It's The Wizard of Oz.
Not lame. Classic.
Yeah. I love it. And I love 60s, like The Apartment, those films that happened, all that. So yeah. I think I watched that movie about 10 times before I realized that he was cheating on everybody and that he and Shirley ended up having an affair. I was like so dumb, you know?
I know. I think that era of film is wonderful. I love Barefoot in the Park is also like so wonderful.
It is. They were so beautiful.
I have to do a closer look, Matthew.
Yes. Yeah. Jane Fonda said she should have done the send off for Robert Redford. She's like, we did 4 movies together, more than Barbara. And that was a great movie. Yeah. There's so many good ones, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My dad's favorite is Wizard of Oz. And Wizard of Oz is one of the best films that we talked about up at St. John's this past semester. So it's got a depth to it that just really keeps on going with age.
Yes. It does. And I forgive the errors when they changed the book, because the shoes should be silver, not red. And there are no horses in Oz, but you learn that if you read all the books, because that becomes a plot point later. But I just love that movie. Anyway, I'm going to go to the Sphere one of these days if they ever redo it, because they're doing it in Vegas, and they actually have real flying monkeys.
Wild.
So it's a great world we live in. Well, thank you guys for your time, and everybody go to the CCA and go to the website, and we'll be back next week with more Conversations Different. Thank you for listening to Conversations Different, hosted by me, Inez Russell Gomez, editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our weekly episodes would not be possible without your support. We hope you enjoy them and keep listening. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Consider signing up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our podcast is available by visiting our website, santafenewmexican.com/podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Conversations Different with Inez Russell Gomez is produced by Matt Dalside and Ernesto Cisneros, published by the Santa Fe New Mexican, a local and independent newspaper owned by Robin Martin.